So yesterday we worked with the negative ones and also with some yes no questions as well. But today we're going to focus on the positive ones, right? Before, oh, things are good. Thank you, Freddie, for asking. So before we jump in, I would like to go and start writing a couple of verbs that we saw yesterday, like the verb see, go, have. What else did we see yesterday? Were you in my life yesterday? I'm not sure you were. But what else did we see? We saw the verb buy, talk, like, and a few more. But we're gonna focus on these ones first. So who can help me out by saying the past of these verbs that you see here? For example, the verb see. What is the past of it? What is the past of see? The first one. So see is in the present. For example, I see you. So in the past will be? In the past is, who can tell me? Does anybody know the past of the verb see? I'm checking the comments here. You can send the answer if you know it. So the past of see, let me give it to you, is saw, right? So see, saw. I see you. I saw you yesterday. I saw you yesterday, right? Then we have go. Who remembers the past of go? Does anybody remember? Oh, does anybody know the past of go? The verb go? Whoops. I'm checking here the comments. Went, very good, thank you. Hello everyone, very good guys. So went will be the past, right? Go, went. I go to the park. I went to the park yesterday. Now, what about have? What is the past of have? Have. What is the past? Let me see. Does anybody know the past? The past of the verb have will be had. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. So have had. So I have a dog. Right now I have a dog. Or in the past, I had a dog. So that means that I don't have the dog anymore. Okay. What about buy? Buy. Let's see. Buy. I buy food every Tuesday, for example. So the past will be bought. Very good. So I bought food last Tuesday. Okay. What about talk? Talk. Talk. Remember that the L doesn't sound. We don't mention it. Talk. Talk. So okay, very good. Thank you, Nenito. Nenito, I don't know how to pronounce. So talked. Talked. Right? Talked. What about like? Like. Very difficult one, that one. Like. That will be light. Perfect. Oh, you know that. That's good. Okay, perfect. So we have those verbs now. And you have the idea, right? So, as I was saying yesterday, one way for you to remember the things, for you to be able to avoid making the same mistakes is by repeating those things. So that way you can build that muscle memory. So your tongue and your head remembers that word is pronounced certain way, and that, for example, the past of see will be saw. But you need to start repeating it until you can remember it. Okay? Good. Now, I'm just going to pronounce it so you can remember the correct pronunciation, or just in case you don't know it, you know it today, right? So, see, saw, go, went, have, had, buy, bought, talk, talked, like, liked. It's like you have a T. Let me just, like you have a T here, you said talked, talked, right? Good. Any questions so far? I'm going to erase all these. Do you have any questions so far? I'm talking to you like, like I can hear you, but let me check the comments. Okay, perfect. So far no questions, good. Now, I'm going to start going with a few sentences, right? And I have them right here written down so it's faster for me to do it. So, we went to the zoo, right? We saw zebras. We had a sandwich. What else? We bought a cap. Okay, so we have that one. So those are the positive ones, right? We have positive sentences here. And in the positive sentences, we need to make sure that the verb is in the past. So we know, so everybody knows that we are talking about the past. Because in the negative ones, it doesn't happen that way. So you need to memorize those. You need to start practicing them every day so you remember, okay, what I want to say is that I went to the zoo, not I go to the zoo yesterday. Because if you say I go to the zoo yesterday, people will understand you. However, they will be like, he meant he went, right? They could understand you, but they could get confused as well. So it's good that you remember those words, that you practicing and memorizing. So let's see. I use we here, but we're gonna change that. So we have, we went to the zoo, we saw zebras, we had a sandwich, we bought a cap. Now, if I change it, notice that in the past, it's not that difficult. It's actually easier. Why is it easier? Because in the past, I can say I went to the zoo and I'm still using the same verb. It didn't change. So that's great, right? So I can say I went to the zoo. And then I can say she instead of we. She saw zebras. You see, it's the same thing. So she saw zebras. And then I can change this one too. Let me use this instead so I can do it faster. Okay. So I could say he had a sandwich. So he had a sandwich, right? It was not me. It was not she. It was not someone else. It was he. He had a sandwich. It's the same exactly verb, right? He had a sandwich. Then we bought a cap. So maybe the one who bought the cap was Anna. So Anna bought a cap. Anna bought a cap. So it doesn't matter who you're talking about, the verb is going to stay the same. You just need to make sure that the verb is in the past, which is great, right? Good. So that makes it easier. Do you want me to provide you with another example? Do you need another example? So my first recommendation here, as I mentioned before, is that you memorize, that you practice, you review those verbs. So you can do this, like a song. You can maybe sing a song. Go, went, like that. Go, went, see, saw, have, had, buy, bought. Any way that you can find it, that you can start repeating it until you internalize it, that could work, right? And then you can go like, I go, I went. She see, she saw. He has, he had. Anna buys, Anna bought. So that's a way for you to practice it too. So you can remember that. When you're talking about the past, it's gonna be like this, right? Any questions so far? So far, so good? I'm assuming you already know this topic because we are just reviewing it from a different perspective. Okay, so I think that we can continue then. So, I mentioned before that we are going to talk about um, yes no questions, right? Yes no questions using simple past, right? Because those are mostly the ones that we get confused with. We already know that the verb go, this is a base form, right? And when we ask a question, yes no question, we need to use the auxiliary did, right? That's what we got in the beginning, right? Then we need to add a subject pronoun or the name of a person. In that case, you. This can be pronounced did you or did you? Did you or did you? Right? Both ways are correct. So did you go, base form, we are not gonna write went, right? Because this is already in past. So as did indicates that the question is in past, I'm going to use go in the base form, right? So did you go to the zoo yesterday? 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 So let's see. How do you respond that? How do you respond to that? How do you answer to that question? Will you say, if it's positive, how would you say it? Can you write it in the comments, please? How can you answer to that question? Let's see. If it's yes. So yes, I did. That will be the short answer, right? Ooh, what am I writing here? Yes, I did. Yes, I did, right? So as simple as that. Why did? Because in the question, which is in the past, I'm using the auxiliary did, and this is what I have to use as well in the answer. That is a short answer. Okay, what if the question is, did she go to the zoo yesterday? Did she go to the zoo yesterday? How will the positive answer will be? What will be the answer? Let's see. Oh yes, you can say yes, I went to the zoo yesterday as well. That will be the full sentences, right? Very good. So what if the question is, did she go to the zoo yesterday? What will be the answer? Remember that we're talking about she. Now we have she, about her, about a girl. I'm waiting for your answers. Write it in the comments, please. Okay, so yes, she did, right? Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I say that simple past is simple. You see? I didn't change that. The verbs stay the same. It doesn't matter if it's she, he, it, we, I, you. It doesn't matter the subject pronoun. It will be the same thing. Did she go? Did he go? Did it go? Did we go? Did I go? Did you go? Did they go? It will be the same thing, right? So in the answer, we're gonna use did. Yes, she did. Yes, I did. Yes, you did, and so on, right? So that's simple, right? I'm gonna go with another question. So it can be different as well. And with another verb. Okay, let me switch that for, maybe we can use by. So by, that's the base form, so I don't need to say but, right? Because as I mentioned before, we already have did, which indicates that the question is going to be in past. right? So I don't need but. I'm gonna say buy. Did you buy a cap in the zoo? Did you buy a cap in the zoo? Did you buy a cap in the zoo? Let's see. How do you answer to that question? Let's see if you remember. Hello, hello, CJ. Thank you everyone for joining. So what will be the answer then? If it's positive, of course. I need a short answer and I need a long answer. Did you buy a cap in the zoo? What will be the one? Okay, that is actually correct, Nenito. However, I'm looking for a positive one because yesterday we covered the negative ones. So we worked with the negative answers. So I started with the negative ones because sometimes those ones are like confusing, right? And today we're going to work with the positive ones, okay? So yes, I did because I'm talking about you, right? And is there any other possibility for that one besides I did? Is there any other possibility here? Because the question, did you buy a cap in the zoo? What do you think? Is this the only possibility? As a short answer? I'm sorry I'm looking at this phone instead of that one. I get a little bit confused since I'm looking at the comments in here. Okay, so what is the other possibility? Do you think we have another possibility here? Did you buy a cap in the zoo? Yes, I did. But is there any other possibility here? Because the word you can refer to what as well? To only one person. What do you think? I'm checking the comments, so if somebody knows the answer. Okay, then I'll give you the answer then if you don't know it. So then we could say, depending on who that question is directed to, we could say, yes, we did. Because you can refer to somebody and I. Like say, John and I. So they asked John and I if we bought a cap yesterday. So if they ask, did you buy a cap yesterday? Then we can say, yes, I did, or yes, we did, depending on who the question is directed to. And yes, that is also correct. That will be the long answer. Yes, I bought a cap, or yes, we bought a cap. Okay? I don't want you to be confused with that one. Do you have any question about it? Is it confusing, that one with you? Remember that you can be singular and it can be plural too. Okay, depending to who the question is directed to. Okay, I'm gonna move on now to, where did I just put the eraser I was using? Okay, I got it. Then I use this one instead. Sorry about that. Okay. So positives are simple, very simple. Now, I'm going to go with some positive statements. This is gonna sound a little bit confusing too, but this is actually very used. And we use it to confirm something, just to like do a double confirmation. Confirming. For example, if you ask me, did you go to the zoo yesterday? And I say, I did go to the zoo, but I didn't have fun. So I could say, I did go. And that is actually correct. You can say, I did go, and this is like a confirmation, like putting emphasis on that I did go. However, I didn't have fun. So I did go to the zoo, but I didn't have fun. You see? I confirmed that I went to the zoo, but that I didn't have fun. It was not, I didn't enjoy. So this is one way for you to use it as well, and this is correct. Just to let you know, this is correct. You could say it like that. I'll give you another couple of examples too. I'm just gonna say the question because my board is not that big. So, for example, did you see him? Did you see him? Yes, I did see him. I did see him, but he didn't see me. I did see him, but he didn't see me. So I confirm that I did see him, but he didn't see me. So that's one way to say it, to express it as well. Okay, another example. Okay. Did you get the job? Let me write this question. Did you get the job? Did you get the job? Did you get the job? I did, but I don't want it anymore. Okay, did you get the job? I did. Or you could say I did get it, but I don't want it anymore. I did get it, but I don't want it anymore. So you see, this is a way for you to confirm that, do an extra confirmation to make sure that they are understanding what you're saying. And in this case, let me just add it here so you get the idea. I did get it. I think I may need to erase all this. I did get it, but I don't want it anymore. Okay, so you see that? This is the base form of the word get. As I already have did, I don't need to say I did got it. I did get it, but I don't want it anymore. So this is in past. Even though this word right here, the verb is in present, did is confirming, it's indicating, it's highlighting that I got it, that it was in the past. Okay. Questions so far? So far so good. Any questions about it? Maybe I can give you another example about that. Let me look at the comments here. Okay. Nice, Melody. So you are on the right path. Somebody else have a question? No? No questions then? Okay. Good. Please, not mocking people here. Okay, so let me go with another example. Did she know the truth? Did she know the truth? Did she know the truth? Yes, she did. So I could say, confirming, remember, she did know. So that means that she knew, right? She knew. The past will be knew. You can pronounce it knew and you can pronounce it knew. Both pronunciations are correct. Okay? You can use the one that you feel more comfortable with. I use knew, but you can say knew as well. So she did knew. She did knew. She did know or she knew, which is the same thing. But I'm here confirming, like highlighting that she knew. She did know, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused now. She did know, but she chose not to say. So she did know the truth. She knew the truth. So she did know the truth, but she chose not to say. She's not gonna say anything about it, right? So she did know about it. Okay. Let's see. Any questions about it? Oh, I'm going to respond in Spanish to you, Domingo. Realmente las clases y los videos que normalmente subo son para estudiantes en un nivel ya intermedio o un básico un poquito avanzado, realmente. En cuanto yo suba algún video o haga algún live que sea dirigido a los principiantes, entonces lo voy a dejar saber. Bien, pero ya este tema es para un nivel ya un poquito más avanzado, para un intermediate o un estudiante que esté en un nivel, vamos a decir, un upper basic, right? Como un básico pero un poquito avanzado. So that's why. Yes. Okay, so let's continue. Does anybody have any question? Para la doctora Isabel Martínez, el horario que hago los lives, normalmente no tengo un horario fijo todavía, realmente. Es más cuando tengo el chance, porque tengo 2 niñas pequeñas. Pero normalmente a partir de las 4:30, de las 5. A veces lo hago un poquito tarde cuando se duermen, a eso de las 10 de la noche. Siento que es un horario más cómodo y que se conectan más personas. Any question about this, by the way? Does anybody have any question about this? Yes, no? Is it clear? It is clear, it is not? I'm assuming it's clear then. Okay. So I'm assuming it's clear, right? Now, I'm going just to add something else, and this is about pronunciation. This is something that we're gonna see in the next class, and it's gonna be about pronouncing some regular. And if we have time, then we can do some irregular verbs, right? Just to remind you, the regular verbs are those ending in D or ED, and those irregular verbs are those verbs that change the way they look completely. For example, the verb go changes to went, which is which makes it irregular because it changes completely, right? Go, went. Now, one verb that I could say that is regular is a verb light, right? Because we only need to add a D or an ED. The only thing is that pronunciation here, it's a little bit confusing because sometimes it sounds like a T, like a t. Sometimes it sounds like a d, and sometimes it sounds like ed. So that makes it a little bit confusing. So that's something that we're going to see in our next live as well. So in the next slide, we're going to focus on some of the regular ones. This topic takes a little bit of time and practice, and we're going to focus on also a little bit on irregular, which I think are easier for you to understand it, like how to pronounce it. Now, the only thing with irregular is that you need to make sure that you memorize them, that you practice them, so that way you can remember the correct way to say them. Because sometimes common learners make this mistake, which is instead of saying go, they say goed. And this is actually not correct. So the correct way will be went. So go, went in the past, right? That doesn't happen with the regular ones. So it's good for you to like review them. You can find it on books, English books. They have it in the back of the books. You can also find it on Google. Many pages have those regular verbs, simple past, right? You focus on simple past, you go for the regular verbs and then the irregular verbs. And that way you can see which ones are regular, the most common ones, and which ones are irregular. And that's what we're going to see in the next slide, as I mentioned before. Now, I'm going to recap about what we saw today. So the first thing that I said is that one way for you to remember the verbs, how to say them in the past, is that like you repeat them, and repeat them, so you can build muscle memory, so you can remember. Through repetition, we can remember things easily. And for example, when I was younger, I watched a movie where the little lady said, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Nothing." And that's something I remember. I used to say, "What do you mean?" And then when I heard her, I started repeating the way she said it, which is, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?" And that way I could sound a little bit more natural, right? So repetition helps you sound more natural as well. So as I mentioned before, you go like this. So you have the verbs, right? This is just an example. So go, went, see, saw, like, liked. You could repeat in that. Go, went, see, saw, like, liked. You can sing a song. Go, went, see, saw, like, liked. And that way you can remember it. You can internalize it. Another thing that I mentioned is that it's actually easy, it's not that difficult, to make the yes, no questions, yes, no questions in simple past. Why? Because we always use the auxiliary did in the beginning. We make sure that we have the subject pronoun, depending on who we are talking about, right? And they say that the subject pronoun is she, or we can say that it's Anna, whichever is easier for you, or it's recommended at the moment. So the she, if the verb is see, then it will stay as normal as in the verb base form, because did already indicates that it's in the past, right? So did she see it? Did she see it? Did she see it? Did she see it? And the verb, as I mentioned, stays the same thing. Doesn't matter who we are asking about or asking to. Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it? What else? Did we see it? Did we see it? Did we see it? Also, you can try repetition with that. You can say, did we see it? Did we go? Did we learn? Did we like? Did we sing? So you just try to change the verb here. Oh, let me change that. Did we go? Did we see? Did we like? Did we talk? And you repeat it until you remember how to say it, right? And you can go with this one. Did he go? Did he see? Did he talk? Did he call? Right? And then the same thing, repeating until you remember how it's done, how you can do it correctly, right? Let me see. Can you hear me now? Do you hear me now? ¿Me escucha? No me escuchan. Can you hear me? Yes, no? Okay. Yes, okay, perfect. So let's continue. So the same thing, keep repeating the questions. You can even write down the questions on your notebook, like I do. Oops, I'm sorry about that. You can write down questions and sentences on a notebook, and then you can start repeating it like this. Did she see it? Did she see my mom? Did he feed it? Did they know? Did you know? Did he know? Did she know? Did I know? And that can help you remember how to pronounce it, how to say it, and how to sound more naturally, right? More fluent. Because repetition also helps you with fluency, right? And that's great, because what we're looking for is to speak fluently and to be understood by people. And this is a way for us to be understood too. Okay, the other one that I mentioned was that we need to make sure that we know the verbs in the past. So if we already know that the verb by in the present is written and pronounced this way, by, right? And I want to say that she did it in the past, then I need to know that the correct way to say it, what am I writing here? Sorry about that. It's bought. So she bought. And the good thing about simple past is that the verb is always the same. It doesn't matter who you're talking about. So she bought a book. She bought a book. You could say she bought a book, but since we have here a vowel sound, you can link it and make a sound. And you could say she bought a book. She bought a book. She bought she bought a book, right? So it doesn't sound that like hard to say. If you say she bought a book, she bought a book, which is faster. Okay, so that's something to remember. I could say we bought a book. Remember, same verb, it didn't change. It's the same thing in the past. Now, confirmation. When we want to make sure that somebody understands that the answer is yes, we could add something extra. We did, yes, we did. By, in that case we use by because this already indicates that it's in the past. So did indicates that it's in the past, right? So I don't have to repeat and say we did bought. No, we just need to say we did buy. We did buy a book. 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 Okay, so that's a way to say it. I can say we bought a book, but if I want to strongly make sure that they understood, I could say we did buy a book, right? Any questions so far? Oh my God, okay. You don't have to be disrespectful. I do work at a school already, so thank you for the offer, but I already have a job. Okay, just a little reminder that this class that I'm showing here is not for beginners. At the moment, this live is not for beginners. It's more for intermediate students or maybe beginners who are upper beginners, who have a little bit of knowledge about English. So maybe some of you are not understanding what's going on in here, but it's because this is more like for intermediate to advanced, right? So I'm sorry that this live is not for beginners, but in the future we can have some lives for beginners as well. Okay, just to let you know. So guys, do you have any questions so far? You have any questions before I say goodbye? Since I already did a recap about what we saw. Does anybody have a question? Yes, no? Okay, thank you, Ashley. That's very nice of you. I'm not quitting though, but just in case. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so then if you don't have any other question for me, I think that will be all for today. I'm going to upload some highlights about the live, and also I'm going to upload the whole video tomorrow or the day after, okay? So thank you everyone for your support. Thank you for coming, and see you in the next live. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.